If you are continue with me, you remember we have already covered the 90, we have covered 104 pages. Now we are moving further. So let's get started without any further ado. Unlike the basic emotional expressions which anyone anywhere can recognize, symbolic expressions vary from culture to culture. Recently, some symbols from Japanese comics, like the bulging vein on forehead, have be- become more familiar in English language comics. So basically, what I knew that, as he said, expressions vary from culture to culture. So it's a important because I am an Indian. Okay, so I have to keep in mind that whatever I'm going to make the comics, because I have my own style and I want to make my own creative style that will be mine. Like, I want to make my Indian culture in my drawings. So like, you can as you can see here, the Japanese comics, they have their own style, right? And if you want to make your own style, then you have to adopt your culture, and you can learn from there. You can adopt your culture, and you can learn from there. Like, what I'm doing right now, like I'm reading the book, which is, you know which is English book. I mean to say, this is not my culture book, this is not Indian book, right? And I'm reading, so that's why they have their own style. Like, all these things, as you can see here, this is all in English, and this is all, they have their own style, you know so that's why. But what I'm doing right now, I'm just grasping all these things that they did, and they have made something beautiful. So using these things, that will help me, that will help me to make my own culture in my drawing books. So this is I'm doing right now, and nothing else. Because Indian culture has, India has also the history. But the I think the other countries have their own art, history, and beautifully artistic way they have designed, and they did something beautifully. And right now also they are doing very well in art field. But in India, I think it is not much better. But also there are lots of artists who are, very beautiful, make their art career. And that is what I also want to, make the art in a Indian culture. And also Indian culture has a beautiful art culture. As you can see, in India you will find there are lots of culture available in India. That's why you have lots of material to do in art in India. Okay. But other manga symbol still seems pretty strange to Western readers. So before using any symbol, consider whether your readers can decode it or not. Blood shooting out of nose, sexual arousal. Mucus bubble coming out of nose, asleep. Symbols are a great way to get an expressions across regardless of your dynamic drawing ability. So yeah, it is good. It is, you can know, it is thing you should know. That's also, you can use your, you can make the expressions of character using the symbols. So you should have idea about it. Like, as you can see here, blood shooting out of nose, sexual arousal. Muscles bubble coming out of nose as lips. So this is not actually happens in our daily life, just it is the symbol. And human can recognize what actually happening with this child right now, and what is happening with this child right now. So symbols means, symbols indicates that. But don't let them become a crutch. A face surrounded by sweet beds will read as anxious no matter how it's drawn. But The right expressions will add strength and precision that you can't achieve any other way. Definitely. In the end, most comics artists incorporate at least a little realism, simplification, exaggeration, and symbolism into their styles. So, this is what you have to keep in mind. So, in the end, most comic artists incorporate at least a little realism, simplification, exaggeration, and symbolism. So, you can use four things as you can see here. Let me show you. So first thing is realism, second simplification and exaggeration, and symbolism. So all four these four things that is important in art, so you can make your art. So all that, so for the realism, what you should have to learn. For realism, what you can do, for realism you can learn the anatomy, what the exactly anatomy of human being, so. And also you for simplification we have already covered something about the simplification. You can go through in detail. You can go exaggerations, exaggerate. So something, if you want to add some details, so that is called as exaggerate. Symbolism is kind of as we have already discussed, symbolism is like that is not happening in our real life, but that is something, the symbol indicates that what is actually happening with the character, right? So that is symbol. So again, let me tell you what is realism. You can adopt realism by you know realism. You can learn, first of all you have to learn the anatomy and perspective drawing, and there are lots of things that you have to learn about for realism. And like this is also kind of a real character. This is appear like a real character. It is not kind of a the actual character that present in our daily in our life, but it is a little bit cartoonist, so it doesn't matter. But we can recognize what exactly the meaning of this character right now by seeing his expressions. So that is kind of a realism. Okay, simplifications, then make it as simple as much as you can, but also that should look like a realism, and then you can simplify that. And exaggerate is nothing but you are adding some detail to clarify the what exactly the human if he has expressions, then you can add you can exaggerate his eyes, nose, mouth, everything. And style that present in yourself already. So you will add, you have you will have your style, your own style. Like your color style can be different from me, like your character designing style, and many more things. So it comes by practicing. So as much as you will practice, your style will become your own style, not the other the other style. Okay, now moving further. Which creating facial expressions for comic sequences. Pay social attention to how those expressions will be read context, especially in combination with words. So what he is saying, when creating facial expressions for comics sequences, pay special attention to how those expressions will be read in context, especially in combination with words. A face like this might seem mild and unbreathing, unthreatening. Okay, right. Compared to our crueler face from page 85. But in the right context, even the kindest simple can convey cruelty. I am going to tell my friend to cut off your finger now. Yeah, yeah, as you can see in this panel, oh, what the hell this man is going to do right now. So he's saying, I'm going to tell my friend to cut off your fingers now. So it seems like this, this man is happy. But after reading these things, you can recognize the person, what kind of cruel person here, right? Society discourages us from displaying overly strong emotions, so most of us keep it dialed down most of the time. As social creatures, your readers will notice small changes of expressions in your characters, just as your characters notice such as changes in each other. Yeah, Arthur to Claire, are you okay? Yeah, I am fine. Don't get too subtle, though. In real life, we can communicate the intensity of your feelings through vocal inflection, while your face's expressions stay fairly muted. Fine, we will all go finish next week then. But in comics, we can only approximate the sounds of voice. But in comics, we can only approximate the sounds of voice, and readers are not looking directly at your characters' faces as they read their words. Yeah. So you might need to turn up the emotional volume on some faces to compensate. Fine, we will all go finish next week then. Choosing the right expressions can be a function of choosing the right moment. So what he's saying, choosing the right expressions can be a function of choosing the right moment. Our faces cycle through a lot of expressions when speaking. When a single face has to represent all the words in a balloon, or two such faces act as a sort of emotional average, summing up the balloons as a whole. So we could buy the theater, but we had have to sell the house to get the money. Then again, if emotional changes are the focus of a given scene, devoting a panel to each change of emotions might achieve the intensity of the scene requires. And that is what it is here right now. To be honest, you don't have to be a master of subtle expression to make effective comics. Some comics characters have just a handful of basic expressions. Hell, you are looking at one. I know I can trust you to fill in the blanks emotionally, just as you fill in the blanks between panels. Even with the barest of evidence, you will want to see me as a person, not just a series of drawings. Some of the most emotionally complex comics in history have featured protagonists with a limited palette of expressions. Yet, in context, those faces seem to have a both breadth and depth. Art Spiegelman's mouse features only a few basic expressions, while Chris varies characters Jimmy Corrigan strictly mostly to just this one. Readers may readers may even see expressions that are not uh, sorry. Readers may even see expressions that are not there, based solely on the surrounding story and text. Panels from Jack's luck runs out of Johnson or whatever. But in many popular comics over the years, characters feature several basic types of expressions like shocked, angry, stern, distressed, happy, in pain, which can then be fine tuned by their corresponding word balloons. We must stop him before he kills again. stern. This could mean the end of all mankind. I'll have the Salman. So why bother learning to make 1,000 expressions when just a few will do it? In part because understanding the thousands will help you draw the few with greater control and precision, but also because facial expressions, in part as a result of their traditionally limited role, may represent one of comic greatest areas of untapped potential, a change for a few generation of creators to connect with a few new generation of readers, many of whom and the emotional arena as compelling as the physical one, and who will expect when they look into eyes of your characters to find a real human being looking back. So after finishing the facial expression, now we are going to know about the body language. So it's also very complicated to know about the body language. I would say not very complicated, but to make the facial expression is one thing, and to connect the facial expression with the body language, it's also one thing that you have to learn. And and everything, I think, goes on together, not separately. Okay, you can go separately also, I think. I don't have much knowledge, just I'm sharing. So okay, body language. Just as face express a lot of what's going on inside a character emotionally, their bodies can send some powerful message of their own. Okay, what he's saying, just as faces express a lot of what's going on inside a character emotionally, their bodies can send some powerful message of their own. And as with the faces, they can some they can send some of those messages deliberately. So what is happening actually about, I want to tell you what exactly I understand about facial expressions. So you can divide two things, like something that is body and something that is beyond the body, and that is I'm calling as feelings. So feeling is different and the body is your different. Both are connected with each other, feelings and body. When you are sad, you can see sad is a feeling, but uh, your facial expression is also sad. It is the result of sadness. It is the like you are feeling sad, and the result is your facial expression is also sad. So that is what I'm trying to saying you. So something is inside you that can express you, that can you express by your face. You can know about the people's only by seeing their face. It is not compulsory. You can't every time go through their mind. Like if you are happy, if you are like someone face, most of the time someone's face might be they are smiling, but if you will go inside, they are unhappy or they are depressed, but her mouth or his mouth is like kind of every time their muscles like they are happy. You will find like they are happy, but it is not exactly that is that is happen with the people. Okay, what the hell I'm saying. Let me again clear you two things that you can separate. First thing, that is feelings, and the second thing, that is body. So I'm going to talk about the facial expressions. So whatever is in your mind, whatever you feel, whatever you think, whatever uh, analyzing, that will be expressed by your face or by your body also. Something that is you are expressing by your face, it is called as facial expressions, and something that is expressing by your body, that is called as body language. Sometimes, let's say, sometimes you are very happy. Yeah, you are very happy and you are dancing. So the people will see you, and they will know about you are, you are dancing. That means you are very happy. I'm not taking all the cases. It also happens that sometimes you are happy but you are not dancing, right? But sometimes you are dancing, that doesn't mean you are very happy, in both the cases. But most of the time, when you are when you are feeling happy, that time your facial expression is like you are happy. And you are sad, that means your feeling is sad. So that is what I was trying to saying you. And yeah, okay, now move further. And send other without even realizing it. And send other without ever realizing it. Body language. Can they tell readers who your characters are before they even speak? So what he's saying, even the character nothing said something in that panel, but still their body language can say, you know can tell everything about him. So that is what he's saying, body language can tell readers who your characters are before they even speak. Are they doubtful or confident? Affectionate of cold, domineering or submissive. It takes time to learn how to portray it in comics, but when done well, body language can feel a page with life, energy, and personality from top to bottom. So, three things that we can keep in mind if we will learn about poetry. Then, when we done with our work by very well, body language can fill a page with life, energy, and personality from top to bottom. Facial expression and body language express many of the same feelings and often work together. So it is right thing, like you know very well about the facial expression and body language. It will express your most of the work by only using your body language and facial expression. But there are important differences. The basic expressions are fairly consistent in appearance. A face of extreme fear, whatever the cause, tends towards the same familiar shape. Okay. Body language is more situationally based, affected by direction, terrain, source of danger, physical opportunity, etc. Body language is more gravity bound than facial expressions, and everyday activities lead to a split between what we are doing to do outside and what we are feeling on the inside. Do you want me to drive? Yeah, I'm fine. Most importantly, for comics artists, facial expressions are more surface oriented, more affected by newness, skin shadow, etc. While body language is more seal out based, all about how our limbs, hands, and head are positioned. Definitely, your facial expression is very connected with your muscles. It is very dynamic also, and also the body language is also very dynamic. I think you have to learn about it. There is a kind of calligraphy to body language, just as an A is an A, no matter how it's written. So, to go gestures and poses communicate their meaning no matter how they drawn. Just as with facial expressions, mastering body language in comics means tackling four subjects: the various kinds of body signals, the anatomy that underlies them, strategies for drawing such poses, and how body language works in comic sequences. Unlike facial expressions, there are not any kind of primary body poses from which all others are derived. But there are a few basic kinds of relationship between our facial actions and the message they convey, which surface often. These includes evaluation and status, distance in relationship, imbalance and discontent, gesture and communications. At the heart of each of these relationships is a simple statement of space and geometry. For example, if I made two brush strokes and asked you which one looked more proud, you might think it was a weird question. But with lines like these, you had have to trouble guessing which one was thinking of. That's your understanding of elevation, and status at work. Now it seems like a Indian art. For all the details of anatomy, character, clothing, lighting, contained in a picture like this, it's the simple geometry fact of A and B's postures that speaks the logist. Low guy humble, high guy powerful. Hmm. Whether it comes from our old mammalian combat instinct or the parent or child archetype, the idea of height as power can still be seen in everything from uh, ceremonies to architecture. Today we may not bow as low as we used to. Those papers, sirs, thank you. That will be all. But that old brain idea of the bow is everywhere. We bow when we make mistakes. You're right, I should have seen that. You're right, I should have seen that. When we are shy, I'm sure you don't remember me, but. Or Sammed, what are you holding, Ricky? Or defeated? We also take the high ground in a lot of ways, told Chaso. Well, well, looks who is come back. Oh, you look liked the Da Vinci Code, I see. A ramrod straight postures like the one seen in a lot of superhero books will communicate his strength and confidence by being symbolically taller. Chin up, chest out. Yeah, this kind of. Likewise, a bent lowered postures will be identified with the weak and dispossessed and is frequently seen on protagonist from underground, autobio and alternative comics. Chin down and bent over, hands passive out of the. Posture can be such a powerful indicator of attitude and personality. It can even affect how we hear characters' voice. Without words, I'll bet you. I'll bet you can still hear the differences. Definitely, he's the person's who is, mm, up guy, high guy, and this is the low guy. Another principle at work in body language is the correlation between distance and relationship. You may have heard the term personal space, that bubble around us that describes our comfort zone. The size of that zone depends on who we are interacting with. For public encounters with the strangers, we like to keep a distance of several feet, for example. Excuse me, do you have the time? In social gathering, that bubbles shrinking as we are expected to interact on a more personal level with our fellow humans. Hey, loved the first book. I'm still working on that second one. And in animate relationship with the friends and family, the bubble shrinks or pops. Even when social situations put us at a certain fixed distance from others, we still indicate our desired closeness to each other through our stances. Only a few loved ones can breach the zone of physical contact, but there are hundreds of ways they can do it, and that gives cartoonist hundreds of ways to show intimacy besides hugging and kissing or sex yeah, if it is that kind of comic. Likewise, there are hundreds of ways to show a character resisting intimacy with another through the way they turn away, step back, avert their eyes, or erect barriers to create symbolic or even literal distances. The relationship you come up with for your characters can have a powerful effect on the relationship your characters have with your readers, and you can build and strengthen those relationships in every panel by showing how they play themselves out in space. Another factor in body language is the relationship between imbalance and discounted. At least I think it is. Maybe because symmetry is the natural order of things, we tend to react to feelings of discontent by meaning with our body that something is figuratively off balance. A symmetrical stance conveys stability and self confidence. It might convey a holistic or defiant message, but it's directed outward only. The sender's self image is as solid as rock. Without that symmetry, the figure's message is weaker. Deficiency may start to look more like resentment or evasion, and the sender's self image can start to look more like self loathing. Of course, gravity, fatigue, and physical obstacles often requires us to take asymmetrical poses. These don't necessarily indicate any kind of emotional imbalance, especially if overall balance is maintained and the head stands upright. And even blatantly lopsided poses don't have to seem weak if eye contact is maintained. Such combos have a rebel flavor, a sort of yeah, I am lopsided. What are you gonna do about it? Look similar to expressions of suspicion. But generally speaking, if you want to take a calm, confident pose and introduce a little unrest, throwing in a little imbalance is a great way to do it. Whether we are showing our feelings or communicating our opinions, imbalance is everywhere. We tip our heads at unsolved problems, arc an eyebrow at disturbances in the natural order, even throw our whole bodies nearly into a fail, all just to show the imbalances we see in ourselves or in world around us. Elevation, distance, and imbalance are just a few of the ways our bodies let others know how we feel about ourselves, each others, and the world. Keep your eyes open and you will see many more. The way an extreme postures of grief can resemble a fetal position. The way one person's will turn toward a stranger in a crowded, drowned way, while another will turn away. The way we point higher when we are pointing at something further away, as if shooting an arrow. The way we signal our interest in some kinds of advances and disinterest in others. The way we wait for a co-worker compared to the way we want for someone we love. Okay, guys, let it go for the time being. I mean to say, sorry. I will meet in the next video. Now for the time being it is enough, so see you in the next video. Till then, bye, thank you.